Web 3.0 global opportunities and infrastructure.
Okay, so we're going to have, our panelists are Sakhib Wassem from Astra Protocol, who's going to be the moderator, James from DLTX, Alex from Hexagon Wireless, Javier from SoftBank, and Grace from ICHI.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Really appreciate you coming here to listen to what we have to say today.
There we go.
My name is Sakhib Wassem, and I'm the Chief Innovation Officer and CTO for the Astra Protocol. And I'm joined here today by a really eclectic group of individuals from some very important organizations across the industry. Let's start with James. Maybe you can give a quick introduction about yourself.
Zach, talk a little louder so people can hear you. It's hard to hear.
Hello. Is that better?
Much better.
Perfect.
Okay. So, hi, I was just on the stage. I'm James Haft. I'm the chairman of DLTX. We're building at scale, we're building the infrastructure required to have a Web 3.0 decentralized economy. Publicly listed stock in Norway under the ticker symbol DLTX.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes, cool. Hi, my name is Grace Pfluger. I'm head of business development at ICHI, ICHI, and we are helping to stabilize the cryptocurrency market in a number of different ways with branded dollars in the stablecoin area, as well as DIY market making and lending as well. So really hitting every pillar of DeFi.
Hi, my name is Javier Villamizar. I'm an operating partner at SoftBank Investment Advisors. We are the asset manager that manages the Vision Funds. The Vision Funds were established in 2017. We have more than $150 billion of capital being deployed in technology. We have been in the blockchain crypto space for the last 18 months. We have more than a couple of $1 billion already deployed in the space.
Well, thank you, guys. I really appreciate the introductions from yourselves. I'd like to start with a shared mutual question, guys, so we can take each of your differing views into account as we then move into more individual questions. So the first question I have for everybody today really is about this enormous industry. We've seen incredible growth. We've seen accelerated investment across multiple different areas. And we've seen true innovation across all facets of Web3. So, guys, what do you consider to be the most innovative aspect of Web3 from your perspective? James, perhaps you can start.
All right, you had to pick me, huh? All right. The most innovative aspect is interesting. I think it's the ability for people to communicate regardless of race, sex, religion, location, and affiliation. You know, in the past, we've been forced into funnels where we're told who we can talk to. We're told, who we can do business with. We're told what assets we can hold, how we can sell it, how we can move it. And I think that the change that's happening is that liquidity is coming to all the different aspects. And I think that the three aspects that are important are identity, value, and information. And the idea of self-sovereignty of data, information, identity, and value is a revolution for us now. It's taking us back to a place where we can really be in control of our own destiny and start to reorganize ourselves away from these prejudicial establishments that we have towards things which are more open and more prone to growth in the future and to address some of the social problems that are happening around the world. And just for a last thought, everyone focuses on money, 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 because we're humans and that's what we do. But the thing to watch is actually identity, not money. And the thing you got to watch for Web 3.0 is the ability to be anonymous, but still have a personality that's reliable. And so you're going to see that once you're able to establish a base identity in this Web 3.0 world that's anonymous but is reliable and can do truth without trusting, that it's going to open a huge door towards valuations, and that the estimation of $7 trillion by JP Morgan, I actually think it's low over time.
So I think there are countless innovations in Web3, but I think the biggest the most exciting part is that Web3 is really finding ways to get everyone involved in the space, right? We want mass adoption. And what are the two threats to mass adoption? I would say number one is regulation, which Sak, you're addressing with KYC. And number two is volatility, which ICHI is addressing by trying to stabilize the market. We want people to trust crypto, we want people to trust Web3, and we want mass adoption. So I think that's what I'm most excited about moving into Web3.
In our case, it's three things. One is ownership. I think Web3 allows for the distribution, the decentralization of ownership that at the end allows people to monetize their assets, their content, their interactions in a way that was not possible before. The second component is governance. The fact, again, that we have a decentralized governance where decision-making policies are made by decentralized institutions instead of what we used to in Web 2 makes a huge difference for consumers and for everybody that interacts with the ecosystem. And I think the third one, and it's very, very important, is the alignment of incentives. I think it's the first time that we have a technology where everybody that participates in an application, in an ecosystem, interacts with a protocol, have exactly the same incentives. Everybody's there to contribute. Everybody's there to get a benefit. Very, very different, again, from what used to be in previous generations of the internet.
Well, thank you, Javier. Just to expand on your thoughts, SoftBank is viewed as one of the largest investors in technology as a whole, really. We've seen you guys pile huge capital across multiple different sectors within the technology industry as a whole. So what do you really consider to be the future of Web3? How do you see things playing out?
Difficult to predict. Difficult to be here, somebody with a crystal ball and know where this is going. I can tell you a little bit about evolution in the thinking, right? We come from investing in technology. We come from investing in every technology that has created a revolution and disruption in multiple industries. We did it in the 80s in the internet. We did it in the 90s with mobile technology. We have done it in the last 5 years with everything that is disrupted by AI, machine learning, data science. We see blockchain and Web3 as another vector of disruption on technology. And our thinking, it was a little timid when we got into the space, right? If we draw a parallel with the telecom world, we wanted to invest more on the foundational part, right? When you're building a telecom network, you're building your tower sites, you're building your antenna sites. So for us, identifying who those players were in blockchain was very important, and that's the reason that we have done investments in that part of the business. You know, companies like Blockdaemon, for example. Then we look at in the internet space, people that were deriving a lot of businesses and money from actually analyzing what happens in transactions, what happens in the information exchange, right? The Palantirs of the world, you know? So we look at those business models and we say, who plays a role like that in blockchain? And we found, you know, companies in the analytics space that you guys are very familiar with, that we like, and we believe there is a huge opportunity there. Then we look at how Web3 is going to be embraced by traditional institutions, and how everything else that we have in the world that is not Web3 is going to connect with Web3. So how financial institutions, how real estate players, how gaming is going to connect it to Web3. So we're talking about tooling, we're talking about, you know, API providers, we're talking about companies that allow that connectivity in between traditional internet or traditional industries and Web3. And then we have kind of the last part of it, and it's more of the transactional part, right? You're going to have all these tokens. You're going to have all these currencies moving. You need places for people to go from, your wallet, your check account, your debit account into the crypto space. So you have the exchanges. So part of the reason we invested in companies like FTX, like eToro, is because we see that there's a huge potential there. 5 years down the road, we all believe that Web3 is going to be pervasive, across multiple industries. People still will need to transfer some of their real world assets into the digital world.
Thank you, Javier. I mean, it sounds like you guys are heavily invested. You understand this environment extremely well, very clearly, and you see the future trends in the market. So thank you for your insights. That was very eloquently put. If I could move over to Grace. So Grace, ICHI's a DAO-to-DAO DeFi protocol, right? And you speak to projects and you understand the tokenomics, which Javier has just discussed with us. So how do you relate that to the key infrastructure and requirements from projects that approach ICHI? How does that work?
Great question, Zach. I'm going to ask for a little bit of audience participation here. Could I have some raise your hand if you have a token or are going to launch a token? Anyone? Wonderful. Thank you for that.
So not many people then.
That's a good amount. So the reason that this is important, the infrastructure of tokenomics for you and your projects is really important because crypto is moving at incredible rates, and there are a lot of assumptions in the space about how things should be, right? That we should be working with market makers, we should be selling our tokens to exchanges. Obviously, you need to get it out there. But I think the position that a lot of projects are put in is that they are forced to sell their token and therefore diminish their value. So the opportunity that ICHI is providing projects is community-controlled liquidity. So you own your liquidity, and you also are able to use it for your own good to stabilize your price and put it underneath your token price. The specifics are using concentrated liquidity, but I won't get into all of that. But again, just really protecting your token price from market volatility and market downturns. So that's one of the biggest issues that I see every day when we talk to projects. I would say that the second issue just in the market in general is the correlation with Ethereum that all projects see. When Ethereum dips, everyone seems to dip. If we can find a way to decorrelate that, why wouldn't you? And that's exactly what ICHI is doing. We're really breaking barriers from the status quo of what people think you should do for your tokenomics and thinking about things differently.
Thank you. That's very encouraging. I think, we've all seen lulls in market, but it sounds like you're creating a way to insulate these massive swings from the lows and highs for projects that are already established and ones that are new to market as well. So that's very important in the growth phase of this industry as a whole. So, really have to commend you on your work around that. James, over to you now. So you've talked about how the industry has grown. You've talked about how we can get more people involved in this economy as a whole. We've seen major corporates' involvement. We've seen the crypto community embrace Web3, fully. That's growing every year. But how do we get real people to use this? How do I get my mom? How do I get my brothers and sisters who are less adept to the crypto industry to start utilizing Web3 in their everyday life?
So, the answer is, how does this stuff grow? The answer is community. How do you form communities of people that are habituating the activity of the platforms, right? And the way that you do that is that you remove the activity from the technology. As long as we're talking about the technology, this will never be mainstream. As long as I need to know what ICHI is, or what Ethereum is, right? Or what Solana is, right? Or what Cosmos is, right? It's not going to be mainstream, right? When you put your money in the bank, you don't ask them which database they're using and what protocol they're using to communicate between their servers, right? And if you did, you'd be really confused and you'd walk out of that bank. And you go to another bank where they just take your money and they tell you how much you have and they tell you how much you're going to get, right? So what's going to happen is that blockchain and I'm about distributed ledger, not about blockchain, about open source software and distributed ledger technology. Those are going to offer. Alex, those are going to offer benefits to people in terms of transparency, in terms of liquidity, in terms of truth without trusting, in terms of the ability to have anonymous transactions that are trusted, right? Those are the benefits. And what you're going to find is that those benefits are going to start to seep into the things that you're doing already, but they're going to come in through the modalities that you're already using, right? So it's going to be your iPhone, it's going to be your computer, it's going to be your car, right? It's going to be the elevator that you use, right? And those things are going to start to be incorporating these really cool new features that you're drawn towards because they are using this new technology that gives these new capabilities. So the answer really comes down to user interface, right? And how do you put this into the stream of transactions and activities that are already happening? And so it's really going to be a Trojan horse, and you're not going to realize it's happened until after it's already happened.
Absolutely understood. I think you're right. You really are onto something. The interface to Web3 is so challenging, and that really is a significant barrier to entry for a lot of people. Just being baffled by seed phrases and setting up a wallet and having a web browser extension just goes over the head of so many people. I think as soon as we are able to crack that, and as soon as we start to bring more safety and assurance around the industry as well, and the things that ICHI is doing, the things that we're doing at the Astra Protocol as well, we're going to see more adoption. We're going to see more safeguarding around people's investments, because that's what people look at in the reality of all of this as well, beyond the UX, UI issues that we're seeing as a whole. So Alex, I have a question for you now.
Well, first of all, Alex Kenjeev here is the founder of Hexagon Wireless, which is launching a new platform on the Helium protocol.
So,
thanks, James. Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Alex. So, in your eyes, given you're building exciting things, what has been the biggest advancement in Web3 in your eyes?
You know, we're in a space called DY. If you've heard of DeFi, decentralized finance, take the D from DeFi and the Y from Wi-Fi, you get decentralized wireless. And we think that, really bridges the gap between the physical world and the power of blockchain from an incentive perspective. So it's this set of projects where people can build wireless networks that are massive in scale. I mean, Helium, as an example, has 650,000 hotspots live today around the world that any of you could use without knowing the person who owns that hotspot, right? It's all trustless, which is what blockchain is all about. And Helium is just the beginning. DY is a massive, massive opportunity. And James, to your point, you don't need to think about it as a blockchain thing. I've explained our business model to people who've never heard of blockchain, or maybe they've tangentially heard of Bitcoin, and it clicks.
Are you saying that you'll solve my war with Xfinity?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
X who?
Thanks, guys. So we have 5 minutes left. So I'm going to kick another mutual question out to everybody. We come from such differing perspectives, and I think it's important for the audience today to really hear this come out. The industry is rapidly evolving. I think we're all involved in a space that is like none other. It changes every single day. The advancements are incredible. The growth that we've seen is phenomenal. So how do we really see the market shaping up over the next 2 years? Alex, I'll start with you if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. I think, when we think about where Web3 is going, it's really about making everyday life more ownership driven, right? Where you can choose to kind of opt in to various systems and relationships and then own a piece of that relationship. So, in wireless, for example, when you participate in a DY network, you're also a part owner of that network, just by definition, right? Because by propagating the network or by using it, you're getting those token rewards, and those tokens represent the market cap. They are the replacement for AT&T stock, let's say, or Telefonica stock. But it's not just wireless, right? You can apply the same principle to so many different areas. I'm waiting for somebody to use this incentive mechanism for car charging stations or hydrogen pumps or anything distributed.
James.
So I think that the interesting thing that's going to happen over the next couple of years is the battle between the legacy world and the new world. And kind of like when my company sits in that gray area between the two. You know, we're a publicly listed company that has physical infrastructure that does business with protocols and finances it right next to, you know, major corporations. It's kind of interesting.
And you could buy his stock, by the way, DLTX.
Exactly.
So it's a great stock.
The Oslo Stock Exchange.
It's good to have friends. If you haven't, trust me, guys, it's good to have friends. Thank you. So, but the system doesn't defeat new ideas. The system absorbs them, right? And so what's going to happen is after the denial phase, which is kind of over now, and then there's the confusion phase, and then there's the how do we make ourselves look like it phase, even if we're not really it phase, right? And then there's the capitulation because, oh, we're screwed, right? And so I think we're in the second phase right now, right? I think we're past denial. We're in the confusion stage. And we're, you know, all the markets are, oh wait, we're tokenized, we're decentralized, when they're the antithesis of decentralized, right? And so, you know, so right now you're going to see corporations putting veneers on things. It's the same thing as these stable coins that nations are trying to put out, right? Those are not crypto, guys. Those are, you know, surveillance tools, right? And what that's a way to use a token and a computer to further the interests of the governments that are already there. But that's not crypto, right? And so you're going to see in this, and that's confusing to the consumer. It's confusing to people to understand, because what happens is all of a sudden you have this, you know, digital currency out of China, and oh wait, China went digital. That's crypto. But that's not. That's surveillance, right? And so you really got to pay attention right now to this whirlpool. I think in the end, you know, political systems don't survive the displeasure of their participants. So over time, you'll see demand pull to move to the next phase. But in this meantime, it's going to be a whirlpool of confusion and things flying around for the next couple of years, I think.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback off of what James just said, I think the contradiction of centralized and decentralized, and how do we sort of meet in the middle there, especially with DAOs and trying to give the community and power back to the communities. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next couple years. But I would say from the ICHI perspective, we really just hope to see more trust and stabilization of the market in the next couple of years.
And Javier, over to you for some closing thoughts. How do you see the market evolving over the next 2 years in Web3?
Sure. I want to be less controversial than my colleagues here. I see the future of Web3 in the short term. I call it the 3 C's. You know, one is commerce. I think the adoption of Web3 by major brands that see it as an outlet to get into a community and leverage the power of the technology is going to be big. The other one is creators. I think we have seen it already, how Web3 has been adopted by creators faster than any other technology before, right? Creators jump into the internet, the mobile internet with TikTok and Instagram. But this is 20 years after the internet was deployed. So creators is going to be huge. It's going to continue be a driving force for Web3. And the third is community. The fact that we get more people believing in the power of these tools, in how pervasive these technologies are going to be in finance, in gaming, in different activities, is going to create this new community around the world that goes beyond borders, that goes beyond, you know, races and ethnicities, and this is the first time again that we see a technology that has those components.
Well, thank you very much, guys. That was very insightful from everybody.
Zach, talk about your company for 16 seconds.
In 15 seconds, guys, I'm from the Astra Protocol. We've created a globally patented, decentralized compliance technology layer that'll drive some of the key features that our panelists have spoken about today, which is merging the traditional space into the decentralized space so that we have more capital flowing in. That's going to achieve a number of things. It's going to keep the bear away. It's going to allow more capital influx, which is going to give us greater yield. And it's actually going to push the industry forward a notch We actually believe that Web 3.5 is the next phase, and that is this financial revolution that we've seen is all about inclusivity. Right now, the industry has kind of kept them away, but we're bringing them in. What we need to achieve is regulatory oversight in a way that respects decentralization and isn't inhibitive of growth, and that is what we're bringing to the market. So we're really excited about the Astra Protocol, guys. You can find more about us at astraprotocol.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You did a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
Zach.
Appreciate it. Thanks.